All right, all right. We are back this time with some Elden Ring content. So yeah, obviously it's pretty hype with the DLC coming out recently. And so yeah, I figured I'd at least show off the build I'm rocking to play through the DLC. I'm having a ton of fun with it, obviously. I actually think the difficulty is kind of right where it needs to be. You obviously have to spec into the new leveling system, but yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with it. The game is gorgeous, and frankly, some of the boss design and the layering that they have on the world and the intricacies, the interconnectedness of it all, top notch. Some of the best DLC I've ever played. So yeah, with that, I mean, yeah, here's our character. We got the kind of the classic look here. So we'll start with the apparel. Obviously, we're rocking Loretta's gear, just for the aesthetics. Obviously, it's a caster build, right? We're playing basically Harry Potter, and so with that, I'm like, I use her archery spell probably the most for long range combat. So let's kind of rock that as my main headgear. I go back and forth. Sometimes I wear the Banished Knight one as well. We got the Moog Lord of Blood's robe, just for the aesthetics. And then the Royal Remains Greaves and Gauntlets. So when I have my HP reduced like this, it's fantastic because this can then, this can basically replenish the HP as it's slowly coming back. So both of these stack really nicely for the little HP regen. And then, yeah, onto our icons here. We've got the Godfrey icon for charging our spells. We're almost always charging, so it's fantastic. Faster casting time is great. Graven Mass Talisman for the sorcery buff. And then the Glintstone Blade for less FP when you're casting your spells. So, and this is a pretty classic standard caster, talisman layout here. The one substitution sometimes I make when I'm exploring a little bit, I may substitute the Primal Glintstone Blade for a new item that came through this DLC, the Blessed Blue Dew Talisman. Say that a few times fast. But it slowly regenerates FP. So I've got double regen on both my things. And so while I'm exploring, I can kind of let the FP regenerate while I'm casting some spells. I don't need to worry about their slightly higher cost because it'll slowly regenerate anyways. So that's the one kind of substitution I make sometimes when I'm exploring. But for most major combat encounters or anything PvP, we're just gonna keep this thing on here. And then just your classic. I think I have a nice breakdown of 8 to 6. Sometimes if you want to do more with your magic, like you want to use the Kamehameha if you want for a boss or something, you might want to give yourself more FP if you want, but I think that this is pretty nice layout for what this is. And then our physic is basically just the Kamehameha setup, or just like cast whatever you want for a short period of time, and then just boost the magical attacks going forward. So the Cerulean Hidden Tier only lasts for a little bit, but you can basically combo that to set up a 10-second, 8-second long Kamehameha that just melts bosses' health bars. So it's really fun for that. Really great PvE build in general. And then for the weapons, this is pretty standard here, right? We've got Lusat's Glintstone Staff, just because it does the power buff, and so while things do consume additional FP, we're kind of trying to counterbalance that a little bit with the Glintstone Blade as well. So we have that, and then the Dark Moon Greatsword, pretty standard for any intelligence build if you want your Greatsword to do stuff. And this thing's just incredibly powered up and stuff, and it's good to go. So yeah, we've got that. And then Jellyfish Shield, not really for the damage protection. This is more for actually what it does for buffing your attack power, basically, where you can raise the attack power for a certain duration. Just use a little bit of FP, little magic points to do that. And so yeah, with that, we're at 192 right now. I've leveled up a little bit while we were here. We had 60 vigor, and before I figured out that you could do the in-game level, like the DLC leveling system with Erdtree fragments, I was just trying to level up vigor so I wasn't getting one-shotted as much, and then I kind of figured it out. So I'm happy at 70 vigor. We may bump it all the way up to 80. We'll see. And then we've just been dumping a few other things. Mind needs to be at least at 40. I think we're casting some pretty crazy spells. Endurance and strength. The strength is more the requirement for the Jellyfish Shield. It needs a strength of 20. So that's an interesting little caveat there. And then besides that, we have some pretty fun spells set up here. So I'll show you basically what I've got. Ooh, this is the cross. We'll go to the Grace. I'll show you what I've got for kind of my main running around, potentially PvP, and then it's obviously good PvE as well. But we basically have our Comet, which is our bread and butter. This is the main spell we're casting to deal some damage. It's incredible. It does so much. And then the kind of the cheaper spiral, or the shard spiral, this thing tears through big enemies. So smaller ones that are really nimble and move around, it's not as good. But if they're like thick, this thing just kind of works its way through them, and it's super cheap. So really, really nice cast there. And then Stars of Ruin, this is more the PvP spell, as it were. They definitely nerfed this, which they should about a year ago, last time I was playing. But yeah, this thing basically sends out, what is it, 8 little shots here, or 7, whatever it is. It's really hard to dodge. And so you can catch a lot of noobs or even those invasions from like the game itself, not necessarily another human. But this is just fantastic for dealing with them. That they want to roll a bunch, cool. We'll catch them with at least half of the shots here. So I think that's fantastic. And then of course we're on the Loretta stuff, right? I had the helmet. We got to have her spell to back it up. This thing's great. It's basically just a better great bow, and you can charge it, of course, to deal some extra damage. And it's fantastic. And then this is a new one that comes from one of the earlier bosses. So it's not a huge spoiler, but Renala and her Twin Moon spell is really, really good AoE. So, you're surrounded by some enemies. You might want to drop this thing down, and it's 3 really nice shots. The one thing to consider, too, is this might even catch a few people in PvP off guard. And then, similarly, this is also for the humans I might be going up against. Ambush Shard, really nice, kind of sneaky, hit them from behind, cheap spell, too. Really nice to kind of cast. It's not the fastest, but, I think it could catch some people off guard. And then the Terra Magica, this is, anytime you have time to set this up, it's great, because you drop this on the ground, and then you basically have your potency of your spells increased while you're standing on the little sigil or whatever. So you can use that, obviously, for your Kamehameha, but if you want, you could also switch, cast anything within that, especially for the long range. Loretta's Mastery and Terra Magica go so well together. And then, yeah, of course, for the Kamehameha, Comet Azure, I guess, is the in-game name, but everybody knows it as the Kamehameha. And this thing is what melts bosses' health a little bit, which is really nice. I sometimes sub in the Carrion Phalanx. It's good. It just doesn't do as much damage as you would think. It's better for maybe PvP setting or something like that. But otherwise, they just go to some random enemy. And then another close consideration is the Adula's Moonblade. So yeah, all of those were, this is a nice little sweeping attack, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, let's show off the sorceries a little bit, just so you can kind of see what they look like, and then we'll wrap from there. So right, Comet, kind of a pretty standard. We'll charge a little bit. Yeah, big old blast there. Shard Spiral, kind of a nice little. Yeah, go up a little bit. So yeah, a little double, and you can see how it tears into enemies like that. Really, really solid. And then Stars of Ruin, just nasty. Look at that. Just so hard to dodge. And then obviously, so you gotta shut this thing off. Nice. Power this thing up all the way. Boom. Bob's your uncle. Renala's Twin Moons. A 1, 2, and bam. So sick. And then a little ambush shard. Sneaky. Super sneaky. And then, let's show off the Terra Magica. It looks like there's the sigil, stand in it, and you're just dealing some serious punishment. But yeah, anyways, that's the build we're rocking today, and for this DLC for the foreseeable future at least. But yeah, thanks for checking it out. Little Elden Ring, why not?